Hannah Murray on TRE in the afternoon.
Joining us on the line now is Ian Bloomfield to talk about his life as a professional musician and later as an opera singer, and how he fell from favour and found himself busking in Covent Garden Flower Market and in restaurants as a singing waiter. Then for over 20 years, he sang all over the UK, Europe, India and the Middle East as Bodget, the singing waiter, serenading audiences with his mixture of singing and humour. His book, Sing for Your Supper, tells his story. Welcome to the show, Ian.
Oh, good afternoon.
Thank you so much for joining us. And what a fascinating journey it sounds like you've been on.
Yes, it has. It all started off very well, and I sang with English National Opera and the Royal Opera House, and had a lot of artistic endeavours. And then, of course, having to support a family, I ended up busking in Covent Garden, singing in restaurants, and managed to start a whole industry of being a singing waiter, which paid the rent, really, I suppose.
Yeah, opera on the run.
That's right. Opera on the Run was it was great fun. We used to pretend to be waiters and then burst into song, as you know. But it actually started in much humble roots in a restaurant in Croydon, where we went and sat down and pretended to be a diner, and then get up, ding a glass, and burst into song. And it became quite renowned in the whole of Croydon.
Brilliant. One of my great friends' wedding back in, when would it have been, 2009 or 2010, they had singers disguised as waiters at their wedding. It was great. I wonder if that was you.
It could have been. What did we sing?
Yeah, I think it was Queen and was it Bohemian Rhapsody and also did Nessun Dorma as well. It was in a beautiful venue in Pall Mall.
Yeah, we've done Bohemian Rhapsody and Nessun Dorma. I did it with a young lady called Phoebe, and we actually stood on the tables and sang it.
Yes.
Great one, anyway. Nessun Dorma, waving your arms around, standing on a table, was a little bit over the top and dangerous, so we didn't do that.
Oh, brilliant. I mean, you must have had great fun and met a lot of weird and wonderful people along the way, which is what comes into the book.
Yes, I mean, it's been a very diverse selection of people, because it's not just rich people who order singing waiters. So that when you save up for your wedding, sometimes people with very humble backgrounds will say, no, we really want the singing waiters. And so we've travelled long distances and been the most expensive thing in the room, and then waved our arms around, sang Nessun Dorma. And I've had some wonderful feedback from clients who have said, wow, it just made our wedding, you know. And so it was worth forking out the money.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. So what kind of, have you got any fun stories you can share with us about those days?
Yes, I mean, there are lots of stories, I think, and some of them are when we toured abroad. One that comes to mind was that which is actually in the book, we went to Saint-Tropez, and it was a very posh wedding. There were all sorts of celebrities there, and with a lot of these very big, posh parties in the south of France, celebrities will be invited not because they know them, but they just want celebrities to wander around drinking champagne. So I'm not sure I'm allowed to tell you who those celebrities were, but they're very big A-list celebrities who just happened to be at the party, and they didn't know anybody, they were just employed. We also had 4 tigers in a cage, which I felt was horrible to watch, these poor animals in a cage just for all these people celebrating a party. We went there as singing waiters, and at the last moment they said, no, we don't want singing waiters. We've decided against it. We want you to dress up as a chef, and we're going to push you into the swimming pool. I said, okay, yeah, I'm willing. So I dressed up as a chef, and they pushed me in the swimming pool. And I jumped out of the swimming pool and sang La Donna Immobile. Why? I don't know. It didn't make any sense to me, but I got, at the end of the night, I got paid. So it was, I mean, my life has been a lot of silly things like that. Yes, for 20 years, we've done some crazy gigs. And it seemed to be the crazier the gig, the more that people wanted it.
Yeah. I bet people have been saying to you for years, you should write a book.
Well, I think that's exactly right. And I never thought that I could write. I failed my English O-level when I was at school twice. I certainly had, I was, shall we say, challenged when it came to any academic work. I thought, well, I'm not a writer. I'm struggling with reading and writing. There's no way I could write a book, but I always wanted to. And as I got older, I thought it's a possibility. And then the COVID problems happened and we were all locked down. And I thought, right, let's just do it. It doesn't matter if it's not that good, frankly, but I just want to do it because it needs to be done. And as I started writing and all the stories from the past flowed, nice and easily on the page, I think I was encouraged by my friends to say, it's good. You should do it. And so I finished the book and got it published. And there we go.
Great. Well, you say you're not a writer, but you've written several really successful theatre shows, award-winning theatre shows.
Yeah, that's slightly different because when you're writing for a show, you write what you think is a brilliant show, and then you get a team of very brilliant actors in, and they say, no, I'm not saying that. I'm going to say this instead. We always imagine when you're writing a show that people are just going to do what's on the script. But when you get a director in, they say, Ian, is there any chance that we could do it this way and not that way? And they could say this. And I say, yeah, go for it. So it develops. So I couldn't possibly claim credit for all the stuff on the shows. But that's slightly different, but it was a lot of fun, going out to Edinburgh, especially, and the sort of the chaos of Edinburgh as well. You have to go out in the streets and sell your flyers and get people to put bums on seats. And then you've got to go and do the show. So it's very difficult not to either throw yourself into depression or get very drunk all the time.
Brilliant. And I love some of the titles as well. The one that won Best of the Fringe at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival in 2004, A Comedy of Arias. Very good.
Oh, yeah. That was something that's quite old, Comedy of Arias. It's opera on the run, sing for your supper. It's all about catchy titles, really. And so, it's a lovely catchy title, that one, isn't it?
Yeah, and men behaving classically.
That was with a friend of mine, and we bought that together when we were business partners with Opera on the Run. And we had loads and loads of fun, behaving very badly on stage.
Fabulous. So what have you been doing in recent years?
Well, it's been very difficult because when COVID arrived, we were told we weren't allowed to sing. We weren't allowed to meet up with people. We weren't allowed to interact with people. And at that time, I ran a choir, so that had to stop because we weren't allowed to meet up in a hall and we weren't allowed to sing. It was all government guidelines. And, of course, all the functions and the events and the weddings were all been postponed, so we couldn't have any gigs. All the sort of cabarets or theatre shows that I was running at the time, they all had to collapse as well. So I lost everything. And after the COVID, when I thought, I'm never going to piece all this together again, I started working as a chef for a kindergarten school. And that sort of paved the way to give me a little bit of time to get the music back up and running again, which it is now. And now I run a successful company called thesingingwaiters.com.
Get it out there, definitely.
So sorry about that.
No, it's fine.
And I've got my own theatre company and book company, which is Giggling Wolf as well. So,
oh, exciting! So you're still having success with the Singing Waiters?
Yes, it did get back on its feet again, and we still go out and about. And I don't do so much the singing now because I'm getting older. And when you think of singing waiters, they're strapping young people who leap around being funny and singing well. And occasionally I get pulled out as the guy with the grey beard, and I sing Nessun Dorma and get people.
Wonderful. It must be, I mean, to get as any kind of performer, so much of it is about the reaction that you get from the audience. And I suppose doing these types of things when you're undercover, if you like, people aren't expecting you to sing because you've just poured their wine, and then suddenly bursting into song, and amazing song as well. It must be really spectacular to get these facial expressions and applause from the audience.
Yes, absolutely. And weirdly enough, the stronger you are with your accents and so on as a singing waiter, the more people believe you, which I find odd. And also we've done what we call hidden divas, and that is that we pretend to be a guest. And we sit down for dinner with everybody, and then at a certain point we get up and ding a glass and say, excuse me, but I'm so overcome with excitement about this wonderful occasion that I'd like to sing a song. And of course, if a guest did that at your party, you would dive under the table in embarrassment, thinking, oh no, this is going to be awful. And then, of course, you get up and sing like Pavarotti, I wish. And then people think, "Oh my goodness, that was tremendous." And then somebody else at a table somewhere else in the room gets up and says, "Well, if he can sing a song, I'd like to do that too." And then he then sings a song, and then we end up doing a duet and dancing around the tables. It's great fun.
Oh, fabulous! It must just be brilliant, and I bet when you've done events on a booking at a wedding or a party or whatever, people who've been guests at that party have no doubt said to you immediately, "Oh, I need you to come and sing at my party in a couple of months' time." Do you get bookings at other bookings?
Yes, absolutely. That's probably 1/3 of our business is a referral like that. Several times I've turned up to a gig without any business cards, and I keep cuffing myself around the back of the head saying, how can you be so stupid not to do that?
Yes.
But yes, absolutely, that's right. 1/3 of our business is like that.
Amazing. I suppose there's plenty of beer mats or napkins or even tablecloths that you can write your number on if you haven't got a business card.
Yes, or on their shirt sleeves, you know. Or, actually, we did a gig in Lake Como. It was. There's a castle on Lake Como, and Dan and I went out and did this gig out there, and they're all on this pontoon. And the mosquitoes were starting to descend on them. So I went some mosquito spray, and we went around as an excuse to be able to hand out our business cards, but at the same time spraying everybody down with mosquito
repellent. Yeah.
And that was hilarious because the bride and the groom knew who we were, but everybody else thought, why are the waiting staff swabbing us down with mosquito repellent? But then we got them singing, they all understood.
Oh, great stuff. And with all the different places that you've travelled to during this time, any particular highlights that stand out of being particularly spectacular?
Yes, I mean, there's the ones on paper that look spectacular, then there's the ones which were spectacular because they were just odd. Going off to sing in Ireland on one occasion was very odd because it's in the middle of nowhere, and a tiny little tumbling down village hall. And it was a very strange experience because it was a cultural shift that went back 100 years, with the kind of people and the strong Irish accents and the way they did things. And so on. And it was just quite alien to us. The other one was in Agra. We went off and did somebody's wedding in Agra in India. And that was extraordinary because nobody sleeps. We didn't get much sleep on the night haul aeroplane. We picked up in the morning. We were taken there. We rehearsed all day and into the evening, did the gig, had 6 hours sleep, which turned into 4. And then we were back into a taxi again. It was like, you just couldn't rest. And India is chaos. So that when you're singing on stage, the sound engineer that has control over different volumes of different microphones and so on, we looked at him and saying, as if what was going wrong, because our voices would fade in and out and in and out, you know, by default almost. And when I looked out in the audience, there was somebody with a pad, and he was adjusting the volumes all the time. I said to him afterwards, I said, what was your job? He said, I have to pull these levers up and down. And it made our performance completely chaos, but nobody really minded. It was just kind of that we were there and we were shouting and singing and the dancing, and there were roller skate girls and mermaids, and it was nuts. Absolutely. At one point, the knife to cut the cake came in via hot air balloon.
Of course it did.
And somebody came down on a silk ribbon with a knife, gave it to the groom and bride, who cut this cake that came out of the stage on this plinth at the same time. And I thought, how are we going to fit in with all this? You know, it was a very strange experience. So there were some chaotic moments like that, which I loved, because afterwards you thought, well, we've been there, done it, and we're home. So there we go.
Oh, amazing. It's funny. You're the fourth person I've interviewed this week who's told stories about India, because I'm actually going to India in a couple of days' time. So,
oh, are you? Where are you going?
I'm flying into Chennai and then driving a tuk-tuk 1,000 kilometers with 53 other women across to Goa.
Fantastic. I've been to Goa. It's very nice. You'll have a lovely time. But a tuk-tuk, how's your engineering?
Not great, but we do have a team of people with us who have organised the trip. So they're taking our luggage and will fix any issues that we have.
So exciting. I can't believe that. So you've got a whole little team of tuk-tuks screaming down these little lanes and roads.
Yeah.
Track.
Yeah, basically. What could possibly go wrong?
Oh, nothing, I'm sure.
Oh, brilliant. Yes, but chaos is a word that a lot of people have used.
Yeah, I think what the best thing with India, I think, is to make sure you've got water purifiers, and you make sure that you drink water from, cans and not bottles or something like that. My advice was given to me anyway. Okay. And I think that's true. So drink water from a can if you can.
Oh, I've never heard that one. Can as opposed to bottles. What's wrong with bottled water then?
They tend to be resealed so that they get filled up with, depends where you are, but they can be filled with just tap water, which can be dodgy, as opposed to water, whereas in a can, it's definitely sealed.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, thank you. Great advice. Well, if people want to get a copy of your very entertaining book, it's called Sing for Your Supper, and it's available on our website, TRE.radio. It's by Ian Bloomfield, who we've been chatting with today. Ian, thank you so much for joining us.
And thank you very much, Hannah.